Morning. Today I want to look at a company that got a slightly different take on charging and where do we as the UK sit in the world as far as development and moving forward with EVs. But the morning rush is on, so I've got to race out the door. I'll talk to you a bit more about that in a bit. Well, that's the morning chores out the way. You may remember from the last video I mentioned that today I'd intended to go and see another YouTuber with that really old computer game that I'd got. Unfortunately, a bit of a spanner been put in the works in that poor Annabelle, who you might be able to see in the back, I'm sure she's peering through, she was poorly a couple of days ago, and I don't know if it's the same anywhere else, but certainly here, if you mention to the school that they've been sick, they've got to have 2 days off school minimum. So this is day 2 of her not being ill, and there's nothing wrong with her, but she's got to stay at home with me. So we're heading now to go and get some lunch to try and make her feel better. Yeah, it's not for me at all, honestly, but I'm sure there'll be a coffee and something nice to eat along the way. Well, that's an awful lot better. We can get on with our day now. And now I've got an opportunity to talk to you about this league table it's been produced by a company called OSV. Now they basically finance, lease different vehicles. They've been doing it for years and years and years. In fact, I'm probably doing them a disservice. They do an awful lot more than that, but they basically they know the market. That's the sort of the vehicle market across the UK and beyond. So they've got a pretty good idea of what they're doing. Now they've created this league table about countries who are leading the way in electric vehicles at the moment. Now at the top of the league table is France, and then there's Norway, and then joint third is us and Switzerland. Now you might be surprised that France are at the top, because I certainly was, but when you sort of delve into it a little bit deeper, it's talking about the year of 2017, and whilst Norway has got this massive market share and they've had unbelievable support from their government for a good few years now, actually in 2017 France are the ones that really pushed ahead. Now the way that they've compiled this table is on a number of different factors. It's everything from market share of EVs, government grants and incentives, number of charge points installed throughout the year. So you can see a lot of things have come together, and at the moment, especially in Paris, the French are really pushing it because they've had really bad levels of smog, and they're really trying hard to make a difference. But in the same vein, I think that shows how well we here in the UK are doing, and shows, yes, there's been some really good government incentives. We're still quite low as a market share as far as EVs are concerned, but I think if you follow these things and you just look around, certainly for me, the local neighbourhood, more and more are appearing. But I think the big drive is sort of between the government incentives and the amount of charge points that are getting installed at the moment. I think that's what's sort of hoisted us up on the leaderboard. So for me, I thought that was a really good indication of where we are, certainly in the world, with the how much effort we're putting into bringing EVs to the forefront. I'll put a link in so you can have a look at the whole table and how it's all worked out, but I don't want to dwell on it too much. Just yeah, you can manipulate statistics and figures to however you want them to be. I appreciate that, but just a nice indication, I thought, as to where we stand in the world. I've just been reading something really interesting about a company in America. They're a startup company called Freewire. They design and produce effectively little carts that can be pushed around a car park, and they have recycled, generally Nissan car batteries in them. So the idea behind them is the carts get charged up, and then you take the cart to your car to charge your car. And I thought that's a really good idea. Rather than having these fixed posts, which not only get iced, people park in there for too long. Once they've charged, they go off and do shopping for the day. They can be a bit of a pain. these carts can be wheeled around, so actually you could park anywhere you want in the car park, and then the cart could be brought to you, to your car, and then when it's done it can get moved on. I appreciate maybe the structure that might not be great because it involves either you as the driver getting the cart, bringing it over, plugging your car in, and then other people being able to unplug it when your car's charged to move it on, or a car park attendant doing it, which if you've got to pay somebody to do it, then it probably isn't worthwhile. If you've already got attendants there, maybe it is. I don't know. But the interesting thing for me is it's an alternative. It's something else. And they're saying the idea is you charge it up at night when it's cheap, and then you use it during the day. Trouble is, at the moment, the batteries aren't that big in it. So maybe one big charge or a couple of smaller charges, and then that will be it flat. But it's not to say there's not a place for it, and that won't improve as batteries get bigger and cheaper and all the rest of it. The company themselves are also producing, and they're using batteries to power lighting and different things at big events where historically diesel generators have been used. So rather than having all that noise and all the smell of the diesel generator, I'm sure we've all been to concerts and sporting events where the car parks and the surrounding areas are full of these diesel generators. Well, now there's just a battery. There's no noise, there's no emissions. Why that hasn't been done more widely, I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason, probably cost. But they're doing it. So two strands to that company, which I think is really interesting. But the reason that I got to looking at that company is because of BP. Now BP, huge fuel service station provider, they're all over the place. They have, in the UK, just made a $5 million, which is just over £3.5 million investment into Freewire. And the reason they've done that is so that they can work out the strategic points for where chargers are best situated in their service stations or their petrol stations. Now, obviously, we've seen Shell, they've just started putting them in different places, mainly around London. I spoke about that before. There's all this funding and money available to, and a drive actually here in the UK to put rapid chargers in every service station. BP are just taking a slightly more cautious view of it, and they're going to use these carts, put them into various service stations, see what kind of use they get, and then move them to other ones. And from that, they're going to work out where the highest demand is, therefore how many chargers they need to put in individual service stations. And okay, it sounds like quite a lot, $5 million, but actually for somebody like BP, that's very, very small. It's practically nothing. But the return they could get on that from having a strategic setup of this service station needs 10 chargers, this one needs 2, rather than putting 5 in every one, the return they're going to get on that, I think, far outweighs the outlay they're going to put down now. So I think it's a cracking little company, and I hope they do really well, and I hope that that evolves. But also, I think that's a really good use by BP to work out where these chargers should be in the country, and I'm sure we'll see more people doing that, because there does have that feeling of, well, there's investment, there's a car park, let's stick a charger in and see what happens. And you know, if you've been driving EVs for a while, I'm sure like me you've experienced some places you go, you think, oh, there needs to be more chargers here, this is ridiculous, I'm queuing. And other places, every time you go, you can guarantee you'll drive straight up to the charger without fail. So let's hope that this kind of irons that out a little bit, and I'm sure as time moves forward, it will get a lot better. So just two little topics that I wanted to cover today, which I found quite interesting. The trip that I've got to see this other YouTuber, it looks like I'm probably going to do it next week now. So that'll be a little journey in the car and some chat with him about retro stuff in the future. But for now, hopefully you've enjoyed today's vlog. If you have, remember to like and share it. And if you're not doing so already, subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you again soon. Take care.